Carpetbagger here, coming to you live from the great state of Texas, more specifically Austin, Texas, and even more specifically than that, I am in a residential neighborhood. We're actually looking for a museum. Let me see if I got this name right. The Museum of Natural and Artificial Ephemerata. I don't even know if I'm saying that right. I don't even know what that word means. In fact, I just Googled it, and the first thing that came up was this museum that we're headed to. So this looks like it might be an adventure. Follow me. All right. Tours Saturday at 4 o'clock. Miracles inside.
This is the name of the place.
Ephemerata.
Are we going inside door?
Wow.
See, there's a light to turn on.
I got a stuffed fox in there.
Before we start the tour, I'm going to let my children know you're here so they can...
Is that an artificial heart? What's that? It's a flamingo head?
So we are one of the few remaining in-home family-run museums. So these are our children.
Hi.
It's 1912. And it was like 11 stories high.
Thanks, Kai. So you have entered the Museum of Ephemerata. This room shows a history of collecting across time. We can start chronologically in the beginning, which is the 15th century. This is back when people would go on pilgrimages to see things like the finger bone of a saint. We think of celebrities as modern-day saints, and we have favorites like Marilyn Monroe's last smoked cigarette with the telltale red lipstick.
Really?
That was the last cigarette she ever smoked?
Yeah, it was rescued from the trash by a Mr. Atwick, who serviced her hotel room.
Oh my gosh. Marilyn Monroe's last cigarette.
Also, Chairman Mao's purported acupuncture pins. Elvis hair on loan from Graceland, and a lost leaf found under the Bodhi tree where Buddha attained enlightenment. This is Willie Nelson's hair. It's strung from top to bottom in front of that white line. You may need to step up and use this magnifying glass. But the letter on the left
Strand of Willie Nelson's hair down there.
We were in the New Art in Austin show, and our idea was to pair an everyday object with a high art object. So we knew they had Annie Leibovitz's portrait of him. We asked him for one of his hairs. He sent one back in an unmarked envelope and invited us to his ranch where we gathered this wood and the horseshoes. Even though we promised not to in the letter, we couldn't resist doing a DNA sequencing to create future Willies.
Use the DNA to make another Willie Nelson.
You can use a lot more Willie Nelsons.
What is this?
This is a Yeti toy.
Yeti toy?
Good job.
Have you ever heard of Rabbi Ephemerata? Yeah, nobody really has, and that's why she's actually our anti-celebrity on this wall of celebrities. She was a janitor at a British colonial outpost in Kabar, India in the 20s. She moonlighted as a naturalist and would go off on walks with 3 Sherpas, names unknown, in the Mount Sheila wilderness. She encountered a Yeti family, became friends with them, and when it was time for them to head north for the summer, they bequeathed a token of friendship to her, which was this Yeti toy. We have analyzed it. It tests positive as an unknown animal's matted fur and saliva wet felted together. And we like to honor Rabbi Ephemerata as our anti-celebrity on this wall of celebrities because she kept her findings secret, knowing and surely they would be hunted to extinction by British big game hunters.
Whose snot is that?
That's a Wayne coin with the flaming lips.
Oh,
with
okay.
feathers.
Okay.
So we do thematic shows. We did one called Machines, and we had the workout machine in which work is not involved, the belt-driven 40s machines. Their director asked to borrow it for a video. We checked it out with the person who had loaned it to us. They said, okay. They offered us money, but instead we asked for a donation to our celebrity collection. So Wayne blew his nose because he had a reaction to the feathers on the set. That's Scott, the other curator. His great-granduncle, Rasputin Zaplatinska, also known as Rolls-Joyce Jr., started the museum with his partner Mercury Curie as a museum for soon-to-be extinct museum forms, like the Saintly Relic, the Wunderkammern, the Dime Museum. So we simply, when we found the box with the things in it in his grandmother's shed, we took them out and then added on to those beings. I bring that up now because this egg is one of the old Museum of Ephemerata pieces. It's Anastasia's egg. So you may have heard of Anastasia Nikolaevna Romanova. She was the imperial princess who people say perished alongside her family in the Bolshevik Revolution. But the presence of this egg casts serious doubt on that theory. We think she hid it in a secret pantaloon pocket as a hopeful barter for freedom, which allowed her to blend into the countryside.
And that was George Bush's eyeball.
George Bush Sr.'s chocolate eyeball trick-or-treated from the White House. He was dressed as the president, which at that time was his younger son. That is a pheasant shot by John Wayne. We got this off eBay, and the glue marks act as the signature. Someone selling it said that his uncle used to work on the set with John Wayne. John Wayne would play real-life cowboy in Alberta, Canada, shoot animals, then have them stuffed and give them away to people on the set. And you just have to believe them because it's stuck on the mantelpiece, the part that says from John Wayne. That's cool. There's a companion piece to that. It's this Frankenstein bulb. I got that at a halfway house basement sale in Seattle. There's a full strand of working bulbs, and when I went to check it out, the person running the sale said it belonged to the actor who retired in Anacortes, Washington, but he couldn't remember the name. So I asked around, and John Wayne retired in Anacortes.
Interesting.
Well, the next area is Wunderkammern, or Cabinet of Curiosity. This is back when private patrons would amass enormous collections by sending out emissaries into the world to collect all known marbles. They would then bring them home, and they would be arranged from floor to ceiling in a haphazard pattern, sometimes being based on metaphor or being grouped by looking alike, like these here. This is an old museum piece. It's a human horn grown by an unfortunate Miss Beidecker of New Jersey, New Jersey. What is that? That is a vinyl leaf from Disneyland, and has since deteriorated after leaving the aura of the Magic Kingdom.
So that was at Disneyland, that leaf?
It was.
Was it on one of the attractions, or?
It's from Chippendale's Ranger Station.
Okay. It's made out of plastic.
I climbed the fence for it, but it had already fallen off. No larger children present to hear. We have a jackalope from the Devil's Tower Conservation Society of Wyoming. A team of wandering Girl Scouts stumbled upon this grisly scene of two Wyoming cowhands who had dueled over how to prepare this jackalope. Should it be prepared like a rabbit or a deer? Forensics tell us that there is a high correlation between whiskey drinking and jackalope sighting.
And what
we
is
have
this?
oh, what's that?
That right there.
There, that's a pygmy kangaroo from Australia, back when it was a penal colony, and it reflects the early form of taxidermy when the skin would be taken off and put together by someone who had no idea what it actually looked like.
Wow.
It's a flamingo head?
That here is dumpster dive from the American Museum of Natural History by our friend Barrett Klein.
That's a flamingo's head.
see. Oh, this is a staple in any cabinet of curiosities, a narwhal too.
That right there. I know what that is. That is a raccoon penis bone. For those of you who don't know, in Appalachia they use that as a toothpick. They'll wear them around their necks.
One of my favorite displays before I pass it off to Scott. This is a fork bent and divoted by a telekineticist from Connecticut named Squeaky. She bent this with the power of her thought waves when she was 9 years old. Needless to say, she gets what she wants. And she has used her powers for good to raise a flaming chicken coop in the air so the chicks could escape.
This is an ode to the late 1700s to the current time, where public museums open up and people in general start to go to museums and also just to have unique experiences and then collect something to kind of remember it by. And the first public museum in America opened in 1789, Charles Peale's Museum in Philadelphia, and this is a doorknob from there. He had things like a glass steam engine where you could see exactly how a steam engine functioned. Also human oddities like Tom Thumb and Lavinia Warren were dwarves about 3 feet tall, and they went on a tour in Europe and they had a baby. They said they had a baby and would sell this photo of them and their baby. And it turns out they never had a baby. It was a Barnum hoax. And he was doing this kind of reality TV thing in the mid-1800s. And then Chang and Eng, the Siamese twins, they shared a liver, and there was a lot of doubt about that they really did share a liver, but they actually did. And they performed with Barnum and eventually retired and bought houses next door to each other where they raised separate families, and each of them had like 10 kids. So now there's this whole town in North Carolina where everybody's...
I went to the grave.
Yeah, you did?
Yeah, and in Mount Airy.
Mount Airy.
Wow, that's
where
awesome.
Andy Griffith used to live there too.
Wow, cool.
Very interesting.
Yeah. And in their honor, we have the Siamese twin tomato and strawberry cast replica, a purple potato that is conjoined, and a guppy that is born in our fish tank. And we actually have now a live Siamese twin guppy in our tank. That part. So these are 3 rivets from that, the first Ferris wheel. And from 1903 to 1943 in Steeplechase, they had a baby incubator display. So you can still get a sense of this connection with the World's Fairs and technology, the fascination with new technology. So this is a baby's nightie and a sample of air from one of the baby incubators in 1908.
Oh, wow.
And so this Blue Boy is this painting at the Huntington Estates near Disneyland.
Belonged to Walt Disney?
Yeah. And so at Disneyland, that's where, like, the Fiji mermaid that I told you about at Barnum, it really becomes this whole environment, that you walk through. Everything is fake, and it's fake, but it's still fascinating and fun. And finally, you get, by the 60s and 70s, the plastic snow globe comes out of this paperweight form. It's this very quintessential collectible, this little dream world. You go and experience something amazing, and then you can remember it with your souvenir, like Carlsbad Caverns, where it's snowing inside of the cave.
Out to the meteor,
Wow.
where the meteor hit.
Huh.
It's really cool. You get to walk on the outside of it.
Yeah, it's
Cool.
massive.
It's a jar of rusty razor blades.
I went to one. This is the old Milwaukee can crushed by a hog in St. Croix. And we went to this bar where they have hogs. You can buy them a non-alcoholic Old Milwaukee, and they crush it and drink it and then spit the can out.
That's awesome.
Kind of a homemade tourist attraction. So I'll be
Is there a
right back.
haunted doll in here?
Oh yeah, here's the haunted doll. And she's, this was also procured for the ghost show. And the story is that there was this couple in Ohio. They moved into a really old farmhouse, and the woman started having dreams of like a child in the basement, and they were doing some work down there and knocked out a wall, and they found this hidden room with a bed, a little bed, and this doll was on the bed.
Does she have a name?
No, we don't.
So you got Robert the doll. This
Yeah, I
This
know
one
about
doesn't have a
Robert,
name.
but no, this
We're
one.
never visited.
It's the haunted doll from
We're
Ohio.
never visited.
So I'll get Jen and we'll take you to the final part of our tour, the entire wing of this museum dedicated to sleep.
So this is the amount of sleep your two carrying curators collected from the corner of our eyes over the course of 2 months. So this is the average person's sleep in 4 months. Multiply that by 3, that's the average amount of sleep produced in 1 year. Multiply that by 7 billion, it's the amount of sleep produced per annum worldwide, which would surely fill the vial, fill the room, and leave us all surfing out into the street on a wave of sleep. So that's our entire wing dedicated to sleep. And just like Disneyland, our tour ends in the gift shop. We have shirts in the pram, guidebooks, bumper stickers, postcards, and here is our donation jar. Thank you for keeping the ship of fools afloat. And we also have a mailing list. We do thematic shows sometimes. And
Can you explain the name? What the name?
Ephemerata
Yeah.
is something with a lifetime, like a cut flower, a snowflake, us.
All right. When you do a Google search for the name, you're the first and only thing that pops up.
Ooh.
So
Well, in a
we tried
historical,
figuring out what it meant exactly.
yeah, in a historical sense, ephemerata is like a handbill or a ticket stub that is thrown away, usually, but then later has cultural value.
All right, that makes
So,
sense.
yeah, that concludes our tour.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming. We do have one more display up in our blacklight bathroom. We also have our children's bicycle up there, so just step around it. We have a Korean cat fur hair sample. This was genetically spliced with jellyfish genes. Let me make sure that light's on all the way.
What?
And so it fluoresces under the black light. Oh, your baby's gonna love this one. Okay. Look at all the things on the ceiling. Is it plugged in?
It got unplugged.
Yeah, and it's right there. Check it out, mister. There we go. Oh, you glow.
He's so hyperventilating. We're gonna try to make your room look like this.
They also have Ephemerata gardens in the back, so feel free to wander around there. There's some chickens and ponds out there.
Now down here we have cat fur spliced with jellyfish DNA that actually glows under a black light. That's slightly insane. Hey Tex, here. This flamingo tree right here. Some chickens. Hey chickens. What you guys doing? These baby heads right here. Clawfoot cascading waterfall.
There's another kitty cat.
Alright, so pretty spectacular place. It's only a one-room museum, but they pack quite a bit of interesting odds and ends in that one room, and they kind of weave it into a story of the earliest museums and how they evolved into what we now have as theme parks. So I would definitely recommend coming out here. They do tours, I think, on Saturday afternoons. I guess you could call ahead. But yeah, awesome place.